Welcome back to our two-part series on end-to-end setup of Amazon Workspaces pools with Entra ID. In this second video, we will complete the remaining steps to finalize setup. We'll start by working with AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM. Specifically, we will set up an identity provider for the Entra ID application to use and a role containing the permissions it will need. Then, we will finalize settings on the Entra ID application. And then lastly, I will demonstrate logging into the Workspaces pool environment. You will be automatically taken to the overview for the new application. In the left column, under Manage, select Single Sign-On. Select SAML. Select No, I'll save later. And then, in the basic SAML configuration section, select Edit. Replace the default identifier. This value that needs to be here will start with URN. And it will need a # and a number at the end to give it a unique ID if you have more than one application. For example, #3. And then, take the relay state URL constructed in a previous step and paste it here. Now select Save. Then close this section. Select No, I'll test later. Now select Edit on Attributes and Claims. There will be 4 pre-configured required claims and 4 pre-configured additional claims. Delete all of the additional claims. The session duration is a value expressed in seconds, and the default value of 900 means that any sessions created from this application will end after 15 minutes. You will likely want to adjust this value. The maximum value is 43,200. Select the Add New Claim button in the top and enter the following information. For the name, this will be principal tag email. The namespace will be this URL. The source will be an attribute, and the source attribute will be user.mail. Then select Save. We will also need to modify the role required claim, but the values that we need to enter there are not available yet, as they will depend on the creation of a few more items on the AWS side. In the left section, select the Enterprise Applications option. Sort by created on twice to find the ones that we just created, and select the application that we just created. In the left column, select Users and Groups, and then select Add User and Group. Then select under here, where I have none selected, select here. I'm going to assign my own demonstration account to this. In a production setting, you would want to assign groups to this in addition to single users. This is just for demonstration. So I've selected my name here. Now I select Assign, and my user is assigned here. Select Overview in the top left to return to the main page of the console. We will need this application configuration section in some subsequent steps. In the first set of steps, when we created the Workspaces pools directory, we entered a placeholder value for the user access URL. We are now ready to replace that with the proper URL. Navigate to myapps.microsoft.com. And in the Apps section, you'll see the application that you created. Select in the top right, copy link, And now you have the value of the URL on your clipboard. Return to the tab that has the directory details for your pools directory open, and in the authentication section, select Edit. Then select Edit SAML Identity Provider and replace the placeholder value with the value from your clipboard. Then select Save and return to the overview for the directory. And this is now properly configured, and we can move on to the next steps. Now, you can create the AWS IAM SAML Identity Provider and role. We will start with the IAM Identity Provider. In order to begin, we will need an XML file from Entra ID. In the single sign-on section, scroll down to section 3, SAML Certificates, and select Download next to Federation Metadata XML. Save this on your desktop. Then return to the Overview section and go to the AWS IAM console in a separate tab and go to the Identity Provider section in the left column. In the IAM Identity Providers console, select Add Provider. This is a SAML provider, and enter a provider name. For the metadata document, select Choose File and upload the XML file that you just saved. Add any tags you wish to add, and then select Add Provider. In the top, select the View Provider button and leave this tab open so that you can reference it in subsequent steps. In a separate tab, in the IAM Roles section of the console, select Create Role, then select SAML 2.0 Federation, and select the SAML Identity Provider that was just created. Leave these options at their default. For the attribute, select SAML subtype, and then type persistent. Select Next. Do not add a permission policy, so just select Next again. And enter a role name here. Scroll past the Add Permissions section, add tags if you wish, and then select Create Role. Then select View Role in the top right. Leave this console open in this tab, and we'll come back to it in a later step. We can now modify the permissions policies and trust relationships on this role to suit our needs. Select the Add Permissions dropdown in the Permission sections, and then select Create Inline Policy. Select the JSON button, and blank the default policy, and paste in this value here, which is in the companion documentation piece for this video, in the description. Adjust the account number as appropriate, and also you can filter by region and pool name as appropriate. The documentation in the description has more details on this. For the purposes of this demonstration video, I'm going to keep this policy relatively basic. At the bottom, select Next, enter a policy name, and then select Create Policy. Now, go to the Trust Relationships tab and select Edit Trust Policy. We need to add the STS tag session action. Enter a bracket in front of the first line here. Put on a space, back it up a bit. Then add STS tag session in quotes, close the bracket, and add a comma. Now select Update Policy. Leave this section of the console open in this tab, and you'll return to it in a subsequent step. Now that the AWS IAM SAML provider and role have been created, we can construct the value that we'll need to use in the Entra ID application in the role value for the pre-existing SAML claim. Start by selecting the copy icon here next to the ARN of the role. Paste that into a text editor, then enter a comma. Then return to the Identity Providers tab, select the copy icon next to the ARN value, and paste that there. Now that the value is constructed, return to the Entra console, to the single sign-on section, and to the Attributes and Claims section. Select the role, then copy this entire value to your clipboard and paste it here. Then select Save. Then select the unique user identifier name ID required claim and change the name identifier format to persistent. Then select Save. You are now ready to test logging into your WorkSpaces pool setup. I'm going to do this from the myapps.microsoft.com page, but you could also paste the WorkSpaces registration code into the client and initiate the login from the client side. Select the application, and you can either use the web browser view or the app view. I'll use the web browser view. And I'm now connected to my pool WorkSpaces demo setup. Thank you for watching our video series demonstrating end-to-end setup of WorkSpaces pools with Entra ID. I hope you found this helpful. There are reference links in the description of the video to help with any further documentation or items where you need to copy and paste. And please be sure to check out our other videos for more AWS end-user computing content.